Elizabeth Young from Jacksonville, Florida, and the Florida District is presenting Esther and Persia. I'm going to start off by telling you who Esther is. Esther was an orphan. Okay. That means she has no parents, just in case you don't know what orphan is. And her father and mother died when she was young. And her cousin Mordecai raised her since she was a little girl. And later on in life, she became the Queen of Persia and was married to King Xerxes, also known as King Ahasuerus, which is his religion name. And it started off with King Xerxes, who was married to the Queen of Persia, who was then Queen Vashti. He had many wives, which is not legal at all, but he had quite a bit, so he was a pimp, I guess you could say. I mean, he was. But there was a main one, who was the queen, which is Queen Vashti, and he had a little banquet or a party with all the kings. And he had a really beautiful wife, so he wanted to show off like a trophy, like an object, which is rude. And he was like, I'm going to need you to get your behind to the banquet. And she said, no. And then he's like, all right, like, excuse me, like, I'm the king, like, you got to do what I say. She was like, well, no. So the kings were like, well, no, sir, you're kicked out. So they exiled her from the palace, so she was no longer the Queen of Persia. So then the eunuchs went out to Persia to find young virgins to be, I guess you could say, like, try out to be a queen, I guess. And there was one eunuch who particularly was interested in Esther. She was a Jew, though, which is totally not legal either. But, Mordecai told her to keep it a secret for this reason, because she could also become a queen if she wasn't a Jew, so it was a secret. And a few years later, she became the Queen of Persia, and at that time, a man that came in second in command, which is named Haman, and he got this signet ring, and he made a decree. Well, before that, he had a lot of pride. He was very, very cocky, I guess you could say. And he told everybody to bow down to him, like, everybody bow down to me, even though he was the king. And then Mordecai was like, how about no? Because I'm a Jew, and the only person I bow down to is God. And so he was like, well then, that's fine. So he made a decree to where he wanted to kill all the Jews in Persia, women, children, just wipe out all the Jews. So then, that's when Mordecai ran to his cousin Esther and was like, yo, like, he's trying to kill our people. And then she was like, I don't care, because he doesn't know I'm a Jew, so, I mean, they can just die and I'll be alive. And he was like, no, but you're a Jew too. You can't escape death. And she was like, oh yeah, you're right. So she was a little selfish at first, I guess you could say, a little stubborn. And that's when she was like, okay, I got this, but you handle something for me. You go tell the people of Persia to start fasting and do God's word, and I can see what I can do. So then the King Xerxes, he loved Mordecai, and he wanted to honor him, so he called in Haman and was like, so what would you do if you wanted to honor a man that just did the best thing in the world for you? And then Haman, being very prideful and cocky, he was like, he must be talking about me. So basically, I will treat him like a king, put on a robe for him, parade him around Persia. And then he was like, okay, well, I want you to do that for Mordecai. And then Haman was like, what the heck? Like, it's supposed to be for me. Like, what are you doing? And then he was like, okay, well, I'll do it. So he paraded his enemy, the person that he did not like. He had full of vengefulness. So he paraded Mordecai around Persia. He went home and wiped that table and was like, you're a disgrace to our family. I was like, I'm sorry, baby, I'm sorry. And they were like, you need to kill Mordecai and make him an example to follow the king's laws. He was like, all right, I got you. So he built a 75-foot pole to hang Mordecai. And while Esther is doing her mission, what she did, she ordered everybody to a banquet, all the kings, and made sure Haman was there. And in front of everybody, she said, well, guess what? Haman tried to kill all the Jews, and guess what? I'm a Jew too. And then he was like, really? God love you, so it's okay. And then he was like, okay, well, and he was in love with Esther, so he was like, okay, all right. So Haman, you're gonna get hung on your own 75-foot pole that you made for Mordecai. And he was like, no. And I was like, yes, you're done, you're dead, it's over. So he was hung, and so Mordecai took his spot. He was second in command, and he got a signet ring as well. And as a decree, you cannot revoke it, you cannot break it. So what they did, they made another decree to where the Jews could fight back. And so, the Jews were all hyped, and like, okay, let me start getting my spears together, to get ready for the battle. And so that happened. They fought for 3 days, and they killed 75,000 other enemies. So they just like completely murdered them. Like they won. And so then after that, they had 2 days after that, which was called the Purim, a celebration, after they killed all the people. And then this story has many biblical themes, but I picked out 3. One was God is almighty and always has love for his people. And as you see, nothing went as planned. That like Haman thought he had everything under control. He had it. It seemed like the evil was out doing the good, but obviously not, because he got hung. And God was like, no, I got this. Like, he's almighty. No matter what, you think something's going wrong, but he has this. Like, just chill. He got this. And so another theme is no man's plan can never ever change what God already has in store. So you might seem like Haman had something like great going on. Okay, I made a decree. You can't revoke a decree, so everybody thought they were doomed. Like, they thought they were just going to die. Everybody, that's where faith comes in. You just got to believe that God got this. And if if his will, his plan was for you to die, then you would die. But it wasn't the plan. So that was another one. And another theme is a person's pride and revenge can only lead to terrible things. This ties into Haman because he was a hater, basically. He hated on Mordecai so terribly that all the vengefulness got in his way. All he saw was, let me kill Mordecai, let me just kill him. There was holes in his plan, but God didn't want that, so it wasn't going to go through regardless. And the Persian Empire is one of the biggest empires at this time. It had over 127 provinces, and is now today's Iran. And other biblical stories that happened in Persia was the king of Persia frees the Jews, which is Cyrus, the king of Persia, and Daniel in the lion's den. And that is it. Thank you.